of their destinies. Without taking much of your time, ladies and gentlemen, please do welcome Zina Obasi as she takes the microphone. SD, you are on.
Don't mind me. Thank you. I hope you guys can hear me very well.
Loud and clear, very clearly.
Loud and clear. Thank you so much, Mr. Barazan. Thank you, Mr. Nobira. I have been enjoying you people's all your seminars and all the submissions and summaries with Madam Patience. In fact, I just love being in the background and listening and taking notes and learning. I have learned a lot from this platform. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can I have the spotlight? Let me see if I'm being made. Okay, I can do that. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. So I don't want to waste so much time because I've been introduced and my profile has been read. So I think that's enough for now. Thank you so much, Auntie Jewel, for this opportunity. I really love what you and your team are doing in this area. We can never talk enough when it comes to raising children and parenting children. We can never talk enough. We cannot, there's no, we have done enough. No, we just have to keep doing it. So every one of us, if everybody in this life is pitching in one way or the other, just like my program, The Waiting Room with Zina, and the book I wrote, Zina's Waiting Room, which, like you guys heard, is about my experience in with childlessness for 17 years. So I'm now using that channel and that avenue to talk about the experiences I went through and helping people who are going through it currently. So if every single one of us is picking one soccer for people who are sticking their necks out and trying to help, not necessarily looking for money, because all of these things are just to help people. Nobody's making money from it. So I really applaud you guys. So thank you and keep up the good work. Thank you. And thanks for having me on your show. Can I share my screen, please? I would like to share my screen.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me do that. Let me attempt to do that again now. I think my assistant opened it. Like she didn't do that. Let me just open it and then there. I want us to go as quickly as possible because there's a lot to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to share the screen again. Sharing. Okay. Please confirm if you can see it.
Yes, you can.
Right. So, like you can read here, my topic today is raising intentionally responsible teens. Raising intentionally responsible teens. You know, it's one thing to raise teens, it's another to make them responsible. It's yet another to make them intentionally responsible. By the time you make them intentionally responsible, it means that they are basically making the decision themselves to be responsible. And you also making them intentionally responsible means that you have seen the end game and decided that, look, I'm going to raise children like this. So that's why I said making them intentionally responsible. So now we must talk about talk about Gen Z, because that's what this conference is all about, focusing on the Gen Z. It's not because we are just picking the Gen Z, we're talking about the teenagers. So the teenagers of this particular generation fall within the Gen Z. Now there are two things we look at here. One is how to raise teenagers and what to consider while raising teenagers. Already, we know that teenagers have certain things that are peculiar to them. For instance, hormonal development and all of that, that make them, sorry, I think there's a feedback somewhere. So we have those, can we try and mute everyone? Okay, so we have that already. The fact that when people are teenagers, they are dealing with raging hormones. They're dealing with a lot of things. They're trying to find themselves. They're trying to know. When you are now dealing with teenagers, you also need to look at the peculiarity of the particular teenager. So for now, we are dealing with teenagers from the Generation Z, because we all were teenagers. I was a teenager once. I'm from the Generation X. You know, there are people who, every generation have their own peculiarity. So we're talking about these ones now, the Generation Z teenagers. So they are dealing with the Generation Z features, and they're also dealing with the challenges of growing into that teenage age. So demographically, you can look at them as people between that succeeding the millennials, who are from 1981 to 1996, and they are the ones preceding the Generation Alpha. That's those born from 2010 to, there's the current ones now, to about 2020, 2025, that's the Generation Alpha. The Gen Z are born between 1997 and 2012. They are mostly children of my generation, the Generation X, people born between the 1965 and 1980. They are very familiar with the internet and social media. They are mostly called the Gen Z, the Zoomers, and all of that. Characteristics of the Generation X. They grew up with the internet, these people. They grew up with the internet. They cannot remember life before the smartphone. That's the peculiarity of the Generation X, Generation Z. They are career focused. Money and stability are very important to them. They're even more focused than the ones they are succeeding, the millennials, if you ask me. They tend to be well educated and outspoken. They are not the ones you will talk to and say, shut up, and they'll shut up. They want to know why. They are very inquisitive, and they are very bold, mostly. They are more progressive in thinking. Now, these are the people that, from the speaker yesterday, he gave the analogy on how some time ago, there was a study in Nigeria about same-sex study. And he gave the shocking analogy of what is happening currently now. How 90, he said, did he say 70-something% of the current teenagers here responded yes to same-sex, against what they did some time ago when the study was carried out. So they are the more progressive. They are the ones that will easily understand and agree to things like that. They are easily more receptive to single parenting, you know, and all that. They are more progressive. They have 8 seconds attention span. The millennials have about 10. This one's just 8 seconds. So they are very visual. They are very, if you want to get their attention, you have to be fast. You have to be fast about it. You have to get to the bottom of what you're saying, you know. So let me try and reduce my slides so that people can see. I'm just going to stop sharing it for a second, reduce the screen, and then come back. Just give me a second so that okay. everybody can see it very well. Okay, I'm going to attempt to share again so that everybody can see it. Okay, I think it's better now so everybody can see it. So yeah. Now, here are some of the ways for me, I think, to get the attention of the Generation Z, not just me, the whole world. Technology. If you want to get the attention, you must be talking technology. You must be talking social media. The other day in my church here in Abuja, they gave, there was a study, or rather a seminar for parents of teenage children. So I attended. And they were talking, they asked them to talk to us. My goodness. That day, my mouth was like wide open. What these children know, oh my God. The platforms, there are so many things I had no idea about. So many, I know about Snapchat, I know about Instagram, I know about TikTok, I know, you know, these children mentioned like more than 8 other platforms that I have never heard about that are currently trending. Also, like the speaker spoke about yesterday, he said that he was in a chat room where his child, her number was added to a chat room and they were discussing things. These children are vast, they know stuff. So at the time they called them to come and talk to us, the parents, and they were talking, they were telling us things and they were just laughing at the things that parents think they are doing that they already know about. So they are more technologically and social media wise, they are more advanced than us. They tend to be, which is why we need to step up our game. When it comes to sports, they're also interested. They are interested in creativity. They're interested in music. They're interested in art. And their art, they don't even have time for too much painting. It's more like photography, short videos. Take what they do on TikTok now. On TikTok, you can stay like this and somebody can come and use bag to carry you. And it is so real. And these children don't need any training to get to know these things. These are things that they just know how to do, you know, just like common knowledge. So these are how to get their attention. You have to know what they know. You have to speak their language. You have to do like them. You have to be like Okujo was talking about the other day. You have to be like, you have to show them that you know what's up. If not, you'll be boring. You just be talking and they are so smart. Now, here's my observation. I think the Gen Zs are a refined Generation X. I'm from the Generation X, and I know that there were so many things that our parents tried to do to, you know, raise us, they didn't get right. Let's not kid ourselves. They didn't get right with us. We are trying to get it right with our children. And since we are mostly the parents of the Generation Z, we tend to get it right. That's why you see them, they are mostly more coordinated than the millennials, most of them, because we have taken time to understand where we missed it growing up. We tend to put more attention in education, in, you know, aspiring to be this or that and all of that. So we put in all of that attention on them because the millennials are mostly like our siblings. Hardly would you see a generation, you know, a Generation X having a child of a millennial. It's only those who probably had children very early. So mostly this Generation Z people are children of Generation X. Generation X people are coming from battered generation, battered childbearing, childhood, traumatized, you know, trying to get it. So this is where we're trying to get it right. All our educational goals, dreams, yearnings are kind of being fulfilled in the lives of these Generation X. We tend to try to get it right. And this is why they are better than us, because we paid more attention to take care of them, to raise them right, to do this, to do that. So they are like a better version of us. I'm just trying to let us understand who we are dealing with, okay? Now, what does it mean for a teenager to be responsible? Responsibility, first of all, is a state or act of having a duty to deal with or of having control over someone. For instance, you can say, okay, my mother asked me to take responsibility of my younger ones. You have to cook, clean, take care of them. Be the one that is asked about these people. You are in charge, you are in total control. You have to take care of them, you have to see to their needs. A responsible teenager is one who can make conscious decisions on things with regards to oneself or others. And then I also say that a responsible teen helps out with chores and other responsibilities at home. Now, this is a little bit where we get it wrong, because Generation X, we were battered, we were bruised, we were beaten. Now, we don't want to beat, we don't want to do this. And sometimes we also forget that responsibility, it is not abuse. I was like 8 when I started taking care of my younger ones. How many people can leave their house and leave their houses for their 8-year-old to take care of? I mean, you wouldn't do that. Even 12 years old, most times don't know how to take care of themselves. So we tend to now overdo, and then we spoil them somehow. So that's why we're talking about raising them to be responsible, to know where to draw the lines, to know what to expunge from what we went through, to take away the negative and keep the positive whilst raising them. We must not train them the same way we were trained. We must also not say everything our parents did was wrong. There were some things they got right. So our responsibility is to take the right things that they did, take the things they did right, and use it to train our children. So what is the role of a parent? The role of a parent, like we have been made to understand from the beginning of this seminar till now, it is not to helicopter over your children. That's why I have a picture of the helicopter mommy and daddy hovering over the child. That is not a job as a responsible parent. Remember, to raise a responsible child, you have to be a responsible parent. To protect your child from harm, that's one of the responsibilities of a responsible parent. To provide your child with food, clothing, and a place to live. To financially support your child. To provide safety, supervision, and control. To model love. To teach your child how to be independent and responsible. I decided to pick very simple English because it is self-explanatory, so I don't need to dwell much on that. To teach them how to survive without you. The job of a parent is actually to raise another human being to become a responsible parent. So how do you do that? For you to raise another child to become responsible. See him as a mini you, so that the day you're not there, the child can stand on their own. And you must have a timetable for yourself. This child I'm raising, when is it supposed to be responsible? When is he supposed to be able to stand on his own 2 feet? Is it when he's 30? Is it when he's 40? Believe me, some people are 29, 28, 30, they're still living with their parents. Their parents are still monitoring and managing them. That's not parenting. You have ended up spoiling that person. That is not a child. That is a whole human being who is supposed to be responsibly taking care of other children at that time. There are so many men I see today in their 30s. They have children. They are living with their parents. Some women are like that, living with their parents. They have no means of livelihood. They have nothing to feed or support the children with. That's not parenting. That's not what you have been called to do. How do you raise your team to be responsible? Parenting is the activity of bringing up a child as a parent. You must, like I said, make sure that you are raising another parent. Parenting is an intentional, deliberate, and conscious job. People can't just sashay into parenting. Today, because I had to ask Uncle Joe, who am I speaking to? Am I speaking to parents? Am I speaking to kids? He said I'm speaking to parents. So we are here, we are parents, we are talking to ourselves. As a parent, you have to be consistent. If you say A, you mean A, you do A. As a parent, you must define the end game for yourself before you even get there. Meaning, as you're about to raise the children, that's why it has to be an intentional and a deliberate sacrifice. Parenting is not a joke. It's not something you just happen to become. You must decide to sign up for the job. And it's a 20 years or 18 years full-time job. You must make sure that you are prepared for it. It's not something you just want to wander into and try to test the waters, because the moment you bring them in, they are here. They're going nowhere. So you must be consistent. You must be present and trusted, able to trust you, especially the generation we're talking about. We count on your trust a lot. You must be realistic and practical. You can't just be carving things from all over. I love what the speaker said yesterday. Share your vulnerabilities. Don't sound like you are perfect. You know, when we were young, my dad used to, everybody's father took first in class. Everybody's father took first in class. And I used to, how is it that my dad, your dad, his dad, her dad, they were all in the same class and they all took first? Who took second and third class? Third class. They thought by telling us that they were perfect, it will make us want to be perfect. It didn't work. So why would I want to do that again? It didn't work when it did it. You and I know that it did not work because we found out. And you know, teenagers are very inquisitive. We found out. We dug out this. So there was a boy that found his father's report card, put it out, and showed the father how the condo that he used to have when he was in school. It was not a funny one, you know. So we found out that you're not perfect. You must be realistic. You must be practical. You must encourage good communication, as Uncle Chu always says. Allow them to speak. Give them the space to speak. Some people feel these things we are saying is alien. I mean, this is not us. This is Africa. This is not how we were raised. Are we okay? Seriously. Like, if the whole of Nigerians and the way we were raised worked, we will not have people looting government resources. When I hear the billions that are mentioned these days, like with every generation that comes up, it gets worse. When I hear the billions, I'm like, who raised these people? Did they have my kind of mother? Because I don't think so. So it's because some parents failed to do their job. That's why we're having this. And it will continue if we don't stand up. And that's why I commend the effort of this group. You have to be united. I call it ping pong parenting. That's table tennis. When I was growing up, my parents would have, they already know what they want. They decided you cannot come inside and come and start playing. If my mom is beating you, or rather, she reports you to my dad, and my dad is beating you, I'm not saying you should go ahead and beat. That was how they raised us. If she's beating you and you are running out of the door, she will give you from the door, send you back in. Now, it wasn't only the says, don't eat ice cream. Mommy says don't eat ice cream. You know, the children will definitely go to the daddy, especially when you are not when you are very busy and you are not paying attention. They just go and ask you. You need to know what your wife has said. You need to know what your husband has said. You must always bring up that united front. I've witnessed some things about parenting that make me shed tears. You see parents, father is correcting the child, the mother will pounce on him. Well, how dare you? I carried this pikin for my belly for 9 months. No one kill him for me. You have destroyed that child's life. Even if you are not in support of what your husband is doing, that's not the place. That's not the space. Mommy will say, don't eat ice cream. You have to eat your dinner. You will go behind in the night as a good daddy, in quote. You go and offer them what they are looking for, buy snacks and feed their tummy with snacks. And they will override what mommy has said. You think you are buying their love and all of that. No, you are destroying the foundation of your home. Because at that point, mommy hates them. Mommy doesn't love us. Daddy loves us. There are so many families like that. I call it, you must practice you must present a united front, and you must practice ping pong parenting, table tennis. If mommy gives from there, daddy should return from there, so they know that you are together. They know that these two are no go, no try. They are together. You can't get them to be divided. Be current. That's another point. Try to be aware of the technology. Try to know. There are so many people in my generation. This Zoom we're doing now, You call them for a meeting, you say, me, I know about all these things. What are you talking about? You must constantly try to upgrade yourself. Learn it, know it. For you to be able to speak the language, you have to keep upgrading yourself. Because parenting, like I said, it's a conscious effort. And then says, let them watch. What's there? What are they doing? In front of the children. At least says go to bed. Mommy said, they slept in the afternoon. Let them open their eyes. Let them sleep there. If you are giving that time, it should be both of you deciding and coming together to say. It shouldn't be that one is giving the children the impression that it's too hard and trying to lessen the time for them. No playing outside today. Then you ask them, if daddy has gone and sleep, you can play. Just make sure you come back before he gets back. You're dividing the family. That is not how to raise children. So you must define your boundaries and you must stick to them and let the children. Discipline is actually an act of love, guys. It is not because you hate them. And discipline is not hitting. Discipline can be, you can be the children. I love the way the man talked about yesterday. I have a conversation with them. It brought me to an experience I had when I was raising most of my younger ones. I had to raise them because when parents have plenty of children and they are getting tired, at some point they turn over the whole responsibility to us. I was a teenager raising younger ones, so. And the teacher corrected her harshly. I didn't like the measure. But the way she responded to me, she told me, my teacher said this. My network is terrible, but I'm back. Let me change my source of it. Let me change.
Okay.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Esty, we are hearing you.
Okay, all right.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Key areas we must consciously focus on. I talked about discipline as a very important act of love. We must discipline our kids. Kids love boundaries. You'll be surprised. I was talking about my youngest sister and the experience I had when I was not happy how the teacher corrected her when she was in primary school. But what she said shocked me. She just told me that, no, the teacher said I shouldn't do that, and I did this, and she corrected me. So she kind of told me that she deserved the punishment the teacher gave her. So I just had to, I wanted to go, confront the teacher and all of that, but I had to just stay back because I came to realize that children actually love boundaries. They love it when you discipline them. They know. Sometimes they do this out of their so many hormones in them, just trying too many things. If nobody says no, stop, they will keep doing it. You just have to know when and how to step in. Okay, so another thing, we have to inculcate the right attitude in them. You have to inculcate. Some children are very rude. And parents make excuses for them because they are Gen Z. I don't believe that. The children must not be rude, no matter the generation they are. There will be other generations. So rudeness must not be. But you know why children are rude? Because parents are rude. When you are rude, your children tend to be rude to people. If you're driving and your children are there, they're seeing all the work that you're doing, all the things that you're doing, all the courses, all the language from your village. You can't remember what they speak, speaking patterns. They're watching you. So those are the things they are watching. I mean, snake cannot beget goat. It's not possible. It is you. You are the first role model. You are the first pastor. You are the first teacher. You are the first headmaster. You are the first government. You are the first church, the first mosque. You are the first everything. That's why I say it's a conscious effort. There are so many things they are watching. When you are driving, when you are meeting people, how you behave to people, all of those things translate to how they behave. So if you don't have a good attitude, they will not have a good attitude. Show them practically. Be involved in what happens in the school, in the children's school. Be involved in what's happening in their school. Be involved in, the school work, activities around the school, their club. Ask them what is happening. Find out. Be there. Not hovering, but be close enough to hear, far enough to let them assume that you have given them their privacy, but you are there. You are involved. And all of these things cannot just be a one-off. You have to be, it's from the way you talk, from the way you have become, part of their lives. It's easier for you to gain access. If you didn't listen to yesterday's teaching, go get it, because the guys laid a lot of background to what I'm talking about today. So I wouldn't want to go back rehashing all the things he talked about, how to bond with your children. Okay, show them how to love others. Model love to your children. You are the first and only person to do that. How you take care of people. I was raised in a where my mother never had 8 of us. She had 8 children. She's late now. She had 8 children. We lost one last year, so we're minister, but we grew up 8 children. But there was never a time you would come to our house and you see 8 people. We're always children all over the place. My mom will go out today and come back with 1 child. She will go to church and somebody will come home with her. And the person might live with us for the next 6 months. On Sundays, my mother would cook. We would cook rice with a cooler. You think there's a party going on? Sorry, there's a feedback somewhere. Can you guys mute the feedback is kind of distracting me. Okay, so we'll come back on Sunday morning. We'll make sure that there's food. Weekdays, there are people who come to their house just to come and eat. Now, my mom was not very, very rich. She didn't have so much money, but food was something, it was a common thing in the house. And people that know me. If you come to my house, it's like giving you water. It's something that you must. Now, I'm not saying everybody should go about cooking for people, but that modeling that she did, she showed us how to do that. And in my siblings' houses, all of us, we took that from her. So imagine she had 8 children. Imagine if everybody models one way or the other, opens her house to everybody and anybody. Imagine if everybody did that. The world would be actually a better place. That's why I say when you see children who are behaving rudely and all of it, it's the parenting. A friend of mine was telling me the other day that fries akara in front of her house where she lives in Imo State. The daughter is about 3, 4. So that woman, whoever she likes, her daughter greets. Whoever she does not like, her daughter does not greet. Now imagine a 4-year-old being coached on who to greet and who not to greet. Come on. How do you expect that child to grow up to be a teenager tomorrow? You've already sown the spirit of rudeness in her. You've already sown quarrelsome spirit into her. You cannot now raise her to be different. It is from what you sow in that you get as they're growing. She's been coached not to greet. So the lady said she and the girl, whenever she sees her, she dotes on her. That day, the girl saw her, wanted to greet her, but because she was standing beside the Akara woman, she could see a struggle with this little girl. So she asked the woman, that what's going on? The woman said, don't talk. The mother does not greet me. She said this, and the child has been coached not to. And everybody in their compound concord to the same thing. How do you do that to a child? You're quarreling with your in-law, your brother-in-law's wife. You go and discuss it in front of your children. When I was growing up, it is eyes that they give you. I go to people's houses these days. I see their children come into the sitting room and they sit down. And I'm visiting with you. They will sit down and be looking at my mouth. How do I gist with you? No. I'm not staying. I'm going. One day I told a friend of mine, her son was 9 and she was complaining about some people. I gave her sign. The woman no here. I had to call her, say, doing this thing we're discussing, not in front of your child. She said, he understands everything. I said, no, he does not understand. This is too much for a 9-year-old. Send him out or I'll go home. I can't discuss things, adult things in front of children. So there is a limit to what you can allow them assimilate. There's a boundary. You must not cross. Your friends visiting you does not mean the children should be there. Send them to their rooms. If you don't have 2 rooms that they can stay, let the friend go home. Your concern should be about the children. Some people think they're actually protecting their children. Hear me, you are not protecting. You are destroying those children's mental capacity to assimilate friendship and all of that. You are making them not trust people. Don't go discussing all those things. Some people insult their husbands in front of their children. Some husbands insult their wives in front of their children. And you expect them to grow up to be, how are they going to be responsible? You're already destroying the future from now. So you have to know that parenting is conscious, is deliberate, is intentional, and it's a sacrifice. If you are not ready for it, don't get on this job. It is hard. It is tough. It's not for everybody. It is not. Next point. Let me not delay so much. Okay, so show them how to love others, like I said. Teach them to respect people. It is your job to teach your children to respect the housemaid. It is your job. The fact that you are the one paying the maid does not give your child rights to talk to them anyhow. Are there any money? No. You don't talk to that woman like that. You make them apologize immediately and let them understand that it is wrong. When I take my daughter to school, I make sure she greets everybody. All the gates people know her. All the security people know her. From the gates, the security. If I'm walking into a store and somebody is coming up, I tell her, say good morning, say good afternoon. She must greet people. Now, what do you think will happen if there's a chaos in school? Who do you think the gates people will remember to save? You think they will remember your child that you've never told to greet? You yourself, have you greeted the gate people? You are too big to greet now. Why should you greet commoners? Your chest is pumped up, you don't greet people. You walk into an office, you don't greet. You walk into a place, you don't greet. They greet yourself, it's hard for you to respond. How do you want your child to grow up greeting people and being nice? It's not possible. If there is a problem, they will remember the children that greet them first. And listen to me, guys. We live in Nigeria. This is an uncertain. I'm not praying for terrible things to happen, but we are living in uncertain times. You must prepare your children for everything. You must make sure that they are completely prepared for everything and anything. So you must equip them with life skills and how to navigate life in today, in this our time. Okay, so show them to respect people, teach them basic courtesy, how to say sorry, how to say I'm sorry. Some children are not trained to say I'm sorry. The teacher told me what she experienced in a school where she corrected or disciplined. She didn't flog him. She disciplined the 4-year-old. And the 4-year-old went home and told the mom. And the mother came back and started making trouble. And the woman victimized. Now, this woman told me what she said. And I know her to be a very good teacher. A lot of people in my church then in Port Harcourt, that their children were struggling with one subject or the other. This is somebody they call and she handles your child, that common interest is a go. Any exam they're writing, that's how Eunice, good Eunice was with all her students. So she had, some children she was taking care of school. And then this 4-year-old goes home and tells the mother. And the mother said the only way this could be swept under the carpet is unless Eunice comes, the teacher comes in front of the whole class to apologize to her 4-year-old. The woman said the school said she must do it to keep her job. And she packed up and left. I said she's not doing anything. She's doing very well now. She started her business. That was why she registered her company and started doing tutoring. Now, who loses? The school and the rest of the children who would have benefited from that. And this boy, how are you raising a 4-year-old to insist that the teacher must come and say sorry for cautioning you and telling you what you did was wrong? I know sometimes teachers can bully children, but there are extremes you must not take, for granted. That was an extreme. And the school had to, because the parents are very rich, the school had to stick to what the woman said. And the teacher resigned. We must teach children how to say sorry. We must teach children how to understand, to respect other people. We must model good citizenship. This one, I can spend 3 hours on this topic. You are driving. There is a red light. You can see that it's red. You zoom past it. Tomorrow, you see amber. You know that if you apply speed, you still will hit the red. You still apply that. A red light comes and you pass. You get to a place, there is a queue. You act as if you're not seeing the people. Immediately you get there, because there's a queue, everybody begins to look like a tree to you. Nobody looks like a human being. You just sashay your way to the front as if you didn't notice that there was a queue. You act ignorantly. And sometimes people are just tired of complaining. You are carrying your child, they are watching you. You finish eating biscuits, you wind down, you toss it off the road. You eat banana, you toss it off the road. You eat corn, you toss it off the car, on the road. You get to a place, public property, you don't take care of it. You just, because it's public property. You go to a public toilet, you finish, there's no water. There's a bucket outside and there's a tap. You cannot fetch water to flush your own pee or poo. You drop tissue mistakenly on the floor. You cannot roll another tissue, cover your hand and pick it up. You leave it there because it's for your house. And you want to raise responsible children. How are you going to do that? We must be consciously renewed in our own mind. We are modeling this thing. Children, because we shall overcome. Network is giving us the shakedown, but we are not bothered. Thumbs up if you can hear me.
Can hear you, ST. Please carry on.
No, we can't hear you.
ST, you've gone off. We can't hear you now. Oh, she's off.
Wonderful. I've been switching from one network to the other. Please, can you hear me? Let me see your thumbs up, sir, if you can hear me. Okay, thank you. All right, so let me attempt to go back to where we, okay. So yeah, still on the things you must consciously focus on. I have this on this side of the slide. Just look at it, the picture. Want a responsible team? Start now. You start from the cradle. You start from when they are, sucking breast. From there, learn to say no. Learn to say stop. Learn to, discipline is from there. You don't wait. And the children of these days, they start very early to ask why. So you don't wait until they start asking you why before you start laying the rules down. So you have to put your foot down because they will test your patience. They want to know if you're going to be consistent with what you are saying. So you just have to keep, being and saying the same thing. Teach them the act of giving. That's another way to show them how to be responsible. Teach them the act of giving. Do you give? Do you show them to give? How do you show them to give? You show them to look at other children whose parents don't have as much money as you do. Do you teach them or train them to look down on them? Or you teach them to understand that the money your parents have is not actually your money, really. It's not. You are just privileged to be here. You could have been there. The best way to do that is take them to motherless babies' home, to all those orphanage homes, and teach them while you're teaching them to give. Teach them the act, and why those people ended up there is not because of any problem or any faults they caused, but because of how life has happened. It will help them to be more appreciative of where they are in life and the things they have. Some children are very entitled, and parents tend to indulge them just because you don't want them to feel what you felt. You don't want them to go through what you went through. What you went through made you who you are. There's nothing wrong with you. So you need to teach them right now, okay? Make them volunteer to do things for others. You're walking into a place, you have a 13-year-old son. He's working with you. There's an old woman struggling with a dog. Get your child to go help out. That's the way we're raised. That's the way I was raised. Get them to go help out. We get into a bus and we see an old person. It is ingrained in our brain to get up and let the older woman sit down. It's something you just do. If I get into a public place and I see a woman with children, even when I'm standing on a queue and I see a woman with children, it's inside of me to just tell her to go to the front. Because I can imagine having one or two. You carry 2, 3 children and you are letting them carry their bags, you are flying, you're going to the airport. You see this woman with 3 children, she's carrying bags. You are climbing up the stairs with her. Why not help her with one bag? If you don't do these things, how will you teach your children to do? Have your children say, help that woman, help that lady. I know we have to be careful these days, but there are still ways you can help. And you need to teach them that you can actually help people. Teach them to be independent also. Don't pick up after a 14-year-old. Don't pick up after a 10-year-old, even an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old to be able to pick up and wash their socks themselves. You don't do so many, when you finish doing all of these things, what is remaining for them to do? One of my friends, when I went to her house, her son was about 10. So he always enjoyed when I made eggs, playing eggs. And she said, wanted to learn. So I took him to the kitchen and the father saw this thing. The father was screaming. What is it? I said, he's 10 years old, daddy. He can't fry egg. He was like, I don't want him to burn down the whole house. I said, you pay how much for school fees? At that time, he was paying $500,000 naira for school fees at 10. So with all that money you are paying, he will burn down the house. The man pursued me. He said, will you get out? I said, excuse me, of course we're joking. But I was like, if you spend all that money to send him to school, you should be able to fry egg. Just one egg. And the boy loved it. That experience I gave him. And he learned it. The father said, okay, if you must fry, somebody must turn on the gas. He was like, Dad, please. You need to be able to teach them to be independent. Encourage them to know the value of friendship. That's another thing. Some children are growing up without knowing this value. Know that your children don't have friends. That's a problem. Children are supposed to love children. But when you get to a place where you have crowd, you have a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, they gravitate towards each other. That's how God raised them. But when your child is not playing with other children, there's a problem. Find out what's going on. Maybe self-esteem issue has started setting in. Maybe bullying. Just find out, because your children are supposed to understand the value of friendship. Raise them to be confident and comfortable in their own skin. Now, parents, please stop taunting your children. See your bullying. See your head, see your this, see your that. Why must you always see the things? I mean, who even told you that bow leg is wrong? Who came up with that idea? Just because your legs are straight. So let's not body shame, because when you body shame them, you put them in that box where they begin to feel that they are not adequate, they are not enough, they are not good enough. And these are the things that affect their confidence tomorrow. Teach them to show empathy. The other day, my child, in fact, whenever we go out and a child is crying, she said, Mommy, he's crying, as they say sorry. It's a conscious effort for me. She will say, sorry. I say sorry to that child that's crying. So anywhere she goes, if somebody sneezes, she'll just say, bless you. She gets to a place, she says, thank you. People are like, I say, yes. I'm consciously raising her. Because you're not the only one in this life. There are other people with you. So you have to raise them to be like that. Teach them the dignity of labor, hard work, and reward ethics. Some people just want to provide for their children. When they go on holidays, make them work. Give them a business. Allow them. They will tell you, Mommy, I want to sell something. Say, you don't need to sell anything. What money do you need? I have everything. No, you're not doing it because they need money to start paying their school fees. We know you have money and you can do everything. And you will live forever. You will be here. Nothing will happen to you by the grace of God. But please, allow them to grow up, knowing that they can actually do things for themselves. Because when the interest starts coming and you keep dampening their spirit, at a time, it just ceases. They are just redundant. So we need to teach them to themselves. Now, you would ask, what kind of chores should my children do at home? Example, general cleaning of the house, and yet somebody's phone, somebody needs to be muted, please. Admin, please check and mute the person that's giving us the feedback, please. Now, teenagers should be able to do the cleaning and yard work in the house. There's nothing wrong with that. They should be able to put away their belongings. They should be able to cook and help adults to prep. They should be able to do their own laundry. They should be able to fold their things away and put away. Don't just call a kite all the time. A kite this, a kite that, a kite this, a kite that. You have a 50-year-old, he cannot do his own laundry, not even with the washing machine. What are you raising? You are raising an educationally intelligent child who cannot do anything else except maths and English. There's no balance in that. Vacuuming, sweeping, dusting. I went to see a friend of mine in Maryland one time, and her youngest was about 6 or 7. Her oldest was about 14, 15. She had 4 kids. The way this woman has raised her children, oh my God. She and I, sorry about that. She and I will be, because I spent like 4 days with them. She and I will be in the room. They will just come and tell her, Mom, we're ready, we're going to school. And they'll go to school. I'll come out of the room, everywhere is spotless. I'm like, they're not even calling their mother for breakfast and all of that. She said no. All she does is twice a week, she buys groceries and she makes sure that they eat Nigerian food. She buys the groceries and then she makes stew. She makes soup. The boiling of the and all of that is their job and all. She just makes soup for during the week, but when it's holidays and weekends, they cook for themselves. She just makes sure that that thing is there. The one that's vacuuming knows is his job to vacuum. The one that is washing plates for that week knows they prepare their posters themselves. 4 kids. Time she was already a widow. So she was like, if I don't do this, who will help me? They don't have a father, so they need to learn how to do this. I was shocked. In America. So one day we went out and we bought burger. The children were like, wow, Auntie, do you know we've never had burger in this house? I said, what? Say yes. She made sure that she cooks Nigerian food. And the children, I was just looking at this woman. I said, wow, you raised these 4 kids all by yourself to be like this? She said, yes. Who won't bring help? Where would you get help for? Do you know how much it is to pay a nanny outside? They do their laundry, everything themselves. She just owes them that superstore. Every other thing is them. And there's a rotation like that. And everybody's doing their own job. So it is from the raising, from the cradle, that she did all that. It's not because they just got to teenage age and then she stamped them, they are doing this. If you didn't inculcate all of that into them, they will not automatically become that. Okay, so setting the table and clearing it after meals. I go to people's houses, their children will come to the table and eat. You see a 10-year-old, 8-year-old, when they finish, they will stroll out of the table. I'll just be looking. They will leave the table, the food, the plates, everything, they will leave it there. Kaite will come and clean. Well done. Well done. 21st century parents. They are raising Gen Z. They cannot sweep. Says who? They cannot move. They cannot dust. They cannot wash. They cannot put away dishes. They cannot wash car. They cannot babysit their younger ones. What are we raising? Parenting is a conscious effort. Now, here are some scary topics I want us to look at. Just going to throw them out there. Scary and hard. We don't want to talk about them. Bullying. Bullying is a very scary topic. People don't want to talk about it. And then when they talk about it as their child, maybe being bullied. Have you thought that your child may actually be the bully? Yes, that's the other flip on things. Your child might be the bully. So have you taken time to notice who you are raising? Some children bully their younger ones in the house. You are seeing the traces already. You need to pay attention to what they're doing outside. You need to also check whether they are the ones being bullied. I need to understand that if it is happening in your house, a boy might be bullying his younger sister in the house. And because he's the first son, I have a cousin, when he was growing up, we were, the father was this type of indulging father. I mean, I don't know, he so much was in love with his first son that anything he did was okay. He will break television. My uncle will say, it's okay, I'll buy another one. I'm not kidding. It was that simple. Anything my cousin picked up, he would throw, and children like to throw tantrums. If nobody stops them, they will just be escalating those things. He would break TV. The father would say, hey, how much is it? I'll buy another one. Guess what? My uncle did not live long. He died and he left 11 children. Until today, they are still paying for those mistakes. And that first son has still not been able to find his feet. Till now, he's in his 40s. So when you do these things and allow children to just behave anyhow, it's going to happen. It's going to come. Either you'll be here to witness it or you will not be here. Another thing we need to pay attention is teenage sex and sex education. We need to talk to our children. You may think your child is 12. They are active. Some of them have been active 2 years before you even noticed anything. Maybe when you pamper them in the house and you send them to body school, you think everything is okay. You don't want to talk about it. You need to talk about it. And if they are doing it, how are you being able to protect them? I have a cousin that works with ministry. And when they tell me things that they are experiencing, she and her friends, anytime I get together with them, I shed tears. When they tell me things that they are experiencing, what children are going through, what is happening in the world that me and you are living in, this Nigeria, even in our villages, you will shed tears. I don't know how those ladies sleep because the trauma they go through from their job. So now they preach abstinence, it's not working. They begin to preach protection. And so parents say, don't talk protection to my child. The abstinence you're preaching is not working. Protection, you're begging them so that they will not even go and die. These things are happening every day. What are you doing consciously to protect your children? teenage pregnancy is happening, either by rape or by boyfriend, girlfriend. What would you do if it happens to you? What are the dangers? Of course, you will soon tell me, I don't support abortion. A 12-year-old will not carry and go and born and destroy her life for the rest of her life. These are hard truths that are happening. And we're not talking, we're sweeping them under the carpet, believing God that it will not happen to us. They are knocking on the door, but if you don't do anything conscious now to protect your kids, it's right there by the door. Kidnapping and abduction is another thing. Have you had a responsible safety conversation with your children? Have you heard what my mom used to call bomo talk with your children? When I was growing up, there was bomo talk. It did not start now. They talked about bomo. There was a day my cousin came all the way from the village to our house in Lagos. The man talked and talked and talked from here to tomorrow. We did not open that door. We did not open the door. He was outside because our parents were not around. And we did not know that he was our cousin. So we didn't open the door. He explained, he called all the uncles that we knew. Nobody opened the door. Because we're trained not to open door for strangers or speak to strangers. If you're walking on the road and someone is trailing you, you start shouting. That's the way we were raised. In my family, I don't know about others. He, at a time, was so thirsty. My mom's cousin that was living with us had to give him water from the window. You know, because it was protective, the protection. So he just passed the water and gave him water. So we need to have the children to protect them. Another thing, you know, my time is almost up. Another thing is rape and sexual assaults. We always talk about rape, but I want to talk about it in two ways. There's the attacker and there's the victim. Is your child the attacker? You have not had time to talk with your son about all these raging hormones that he's dealing with. And you're sending him off to boarding school. And he's going to find out more from his colleagues in school. The ones that their parents buy laptop for and give access to internet just to make up for their absenteeism as parents without checking what they do. They will Google and belong to different groups. They will Google porn. They will do all kinds of things. And they will come and teach your son. And then you go and rape a 12-year-old. You come back and rape his sister or his cousin because you have not talked to him about that. And then you take him to church for deliverance. Did you spend time to talk to him about no is no, to talk to him about how to manage himself, that what you're feeling is normal. It means you are growing up, but this is what you do and how you manage yourself. Have you as a father had that conversation with your son? Have you as a mother had a conversation with your daughter that yes, that the fact that you are having a crush on Obi does not mean you should put yourself in a compromising position to protect yourself so you don't become the victim of rape and assault tomorrow. We need conversations. How many kids should we have is another issue. Parents just keep pumping them out, pumping them out, pumping them out. In this generation, you're having 5, 6 children. Are you kidding me? School fees for one is giving me gray hair. And you're having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you make everybody in your church feel guilty. When they see your call, they block your number because you just keep disturbing people and make your issues everybody's responsibility. How much is it to protect yourself from having more children? It's not a mistake, it's a choice. Now we did everything, you just enter. How? You did everything? Oga did everything? It's not difficult to do these things. Go to the hospital and get help. Know how many children. That's why I'm saying it's conscious and deliberate. You must know how many children you can take care of. How many children should you take care of? Choose and stick to it. And then this lesbianism, same sex, and all of that, it's out there, guys. You cannot butter it as if it's not there. Now comes the time to talk to our children, to give them the truth, our own version of what's happening. Because as it is now, we can no longer hide it. These children belong to groups that you don't even know exist. Platforms you don't know exist. They are listening. The child in Nigeria is communicating with a child in China. And you don't know how. So we need to keep our children from being victimized by other people and brainwashed. This is the time for us to step up and do the conscious thing and show them the way that they should go. Use the scriptures to raise your children. This is the time to pray with them, to read the Bible, to educate them. There are some things, it's not convenient some of the time. You're tired, you want to just go to sleep, or you just spend that 50 minutes with them, 30 minutes with them. Just show them how to read the Bible. Those things that your mother forced you to do, he helped you. You need to help them. Equip them with the word of God. Equip them with your, whatever it is your religion is, how to raise the children to be grounded and solid as human beings so that they don't grow up missing out. So in conclusion, I would say a parent should, parenting is a sacred responsibility. Actions speak louder than words. Become a teacher for your children. Like the speaker established yesterday, you are the first pastor, you are the first imam, you are the first everything that your child is going to encounter. So be a good dad for your child. Be a good role model for your child. Know yourself. How much can you handle? Some people don't want to accept help. Some women think they will give them a medal. I don't have any health help. I'm taking care of 5 children, 4 children all by yourself. And see, if you are not shall die. If you go and form shall die, you shall die. Take the one that you can. If you need help, get help. Nobody is going to say you are not a good woman for taking help. It's all for the betterment of your family. Stay educated and one step ahead all the time. At least try, because these guys, they are out there. And then, of course, discipline allows kids to know boundaries. So allow them to feel safe by putting those boundaries in the home. Thank you very much. Questions, if there are any, but I'm done. Thank you, guys. Let me stop sharing my screen now. Or should I wait? Hello.
Am I heard?
Can hear
hello?
you.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right then. Mrs. Zina, thank you
can
very
hear you.
much for a wonderful presentation. Great job there. And then I can see the emojis. Everyone is actually displaying his own Kalu says awesome time using fire symbol. And I know the room is open also for every other person in the house to go ahead, leave your feelings out there. Enjoy the emojis. They have different ways of expressing what you feel. So you carry on, please. And while you do that, also get to say thank you to her for choosing to speak to us from her heart. One killer thing for me is the simplicity in your presentation, the language, so simple and down to earth, so much so that every other person, no matter your academic prowess, should be able to assimilate or understand what you say. And then this other particular expression, I'll call it an idiom. You said parenting must be practiced as a ping pong. It's from the father to the children, and from the mother to the children, and from the mother and to the father to the mother, like that. It has to be an exchange program. It implies interaction, communication. It implies being involved. It's an exercise. And you used another term, job. It's quite incredible because any job you're involved in, it's not a sit-down look. If you have a job, no job is a sit-down look. You are involved, you're active. So that adjective job is just too appropriate. And I know besides myself, every other person in the house had a wonderful time. And I must say, on behalf of all of us again, thank you very much for accepting to really speak to us. I knew behind those shades, I mean, was some awesomeness and all of that. So please, house, colleagues in the house,
Take a while.
you carry on, please. Ask your questions. We have room for only 3 questions as usual. So, who is going first, please?
Okay, that
Just
is sign.
questions.
I've already signed it. I signed it.
You sign again now.
3, just 3.
I don't have signature.
Mommy, stop, please, just sign it.
Mrs. Nkiru,
Please,
John,
mute.
and
Mute.
children, like you want to ask us a question, or is it Mr. Onovira? Okay, the microphones have gone off. Okay, please, any question from anyone indicate, please. Okay, I think for the want of time also, would move this over to tomorrow. It will be the preamble to tomorrow's conference, so that every parent can go back to family and also get to settle them for the night. School is still on tomorrow. We appreciate sincerely. Even recap will be on hold. Recap will be done tomorrow. And I know Mrs. Patience Buba is preparing herself assiduously to be our host for tomorrow. As such, all folks and friends, thank you very much for really spending time to be with us here. Uncle Joe, you indicated that you have an announcement to make, and another word to add to this. Please, it's over to you. Then we wrap up.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Luca. Not really an announcement. I want to, on behalf of the Parenting Parliament, say we most sincerely appreciate SD. When you hear us call her SD, simply means Star Director. It's an honor. It's a privilege being under your tutelage. There is no time we've sat under your teaching, and there is nothing new to learn. In fact, I've gotten my notebook is filled, despite the fact that I had the PowerPoint presentations ahead of time. I have filled my notebook with several jottings. Thank you so much. I know this took a lot of research, a lot of studying. Please, everyone, appreciate her, pray for her. It is not easy getting her to, in fact, it's not easy to get her to interact with her, to get her attention. I know how long it took for us to keep following up and following up. At a point, if I had to start talking with her PA, even today, it was just coming through and all that. Ma, I cannot thank you enough. We appreciate you. God bless you so much. God bless you and have a wonderful night. Mr. Luca.
All right then. Thank you very much. Now you sabi do a vote of thanks. So see as you just do chop, 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 chop. But I know it's an embodiment of so much. Ma'am, thank you very much. And I have very little to say. Please, we beg you, share with us your slides. We'll be very grateful. And to every
have it. Is with Mr. Joe. It's there. It's with Dr. Joe. Yeah.
all right, we're grateful then.
And I will share it because I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right then. Tomorrow we would be listening to another great speaker, Mr. Onovira. He has been super active since Monday until today, and I know even in the subsequent until we come to an end. And he'll be speaking to us on parenting the Gen Z in their peculiarities. If you listen so very well, Mrs. Zina made mention of peculiarities. The Gen Z have their peculiarities. My dear friends, it's going to be another exploration tomorrow on how well we should groom our children. Please come prepared with your pen and paper. And as we wrap up tonight, thank you very much. Regards to your families. Do rest well. And Mrs. Zina, please renew your energy. We're grateful. Good night, folks.
Mm.